I like it.
You didn't say perfect. You said perfect the past like 3 years. I've known every time you do that, and we haven't done that for 3 years.
Well, I'm changing it up.
Oh, wow.
3 years that we've been doing this show.
New you, new
Falcon
tattoo, new vaccine, new words. You know what else is new?
Tell me what's new.
Well, I'm new. You're not very new.
You're not
this
new
is TK.
at all.
Drink their product. I don't really have time for you today. What do you mean? Just go away. What do you mean? Just go away. What? That's it. Bye. That was TK. You can buy his product.
Play the sad walking away music from Arrested Development.
Oh, yeah. Here. Or no, which is...
There you go.
Charlie Brown Walk Away. Or the, what is it? Whoops. I don't know, every time I hear that part or I see that scene, I think of, I never watched the Incredible Hulk show, but him like hitchhiking. That's how they ended each episode. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Oh, there's an Incredible Hulk TV show where they ended each episode with him hitchhiking with sad music.
I kind of deduced that, but I have to be honest and say that I've never in my life had the urge to watch the Incredible Hulk. But anyway,
it was pretty good. You know what else was a TV show?
I can tell you what was a TV show.
Oh, God. Did everyone hear his tone? I can tell you what's a TV show. Sounds like he's going to abuse the show.
I definitely did watch it on a rectangular box screen with light projection through some sort of display, what showed me images that may or may not have told a story.
Ooh, ouch. Yes, that story was Falcon and Winter Soldier. Is that what that was?
If you couldn't tell from the dressing up here.
Yeah, I could tell a little bit. And yeah. Oh, yeah, it's above us. I don't know if you guys figured it out. If you can't read, it's okay. It says Falcon and Winter Soldier, or the opposite way. I'm not sure how you do it. But yeah, it finally ended. How sad are you?
Oh, just devastated. I'm wrought. I'm gnashing teeth. I'm rending garments. I'm so distraught over the conclusion of Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I will say that I am more awake now because I was very fatigued before.
You know,
not the last episode.
Here's just, maybe this is just coincidence, but I think that every time I have watched an episode of the show, it has just been drab and gray and cold outside. And that's always what I remember and how I feel after watching this show.
Yeah.
Is that I've just watched something drab and gray and cold.
Turns out if you look at the forecast for each of those days that you watched it, it's super bright, like one of the hottest, most beautiful days in the world. But all you saw was
inside
gray.
Watching the show instead of delighting in God's green earth as I should have been.
Well, so before we talk about what we may have loved, what we may have liked, and other, let's go over briefly. You want me to go over what happened in those two episodes?
You have to, because
yeah, I know.
At this point, we've established my lack of qualifications for recapping any of these episodes.
You have qualifications. I'll say with this show you didn't, because you refused to gain the qualifications. But episode 4 ended with John Walker just impaling him, right? Yeah, impaling a motherfucker with his shield. John Walker being a faux cap, as I call him, as the kids call him, as the internet calls him. I just call him that. We open up episode 5 with Falcon and Winter Soldier like, yo, you got to give us that shield back. I don't think you got to go to prison. I think it was, you got to give us that shield back. It's like, what? Yep. What are you saying? And they get into a decent fight scene, like one of the better fight scenes of the series. Again, the most interesting character, John Walker, is fucking losing his mind. He's like, but I'm Captain fuck. He doesn't say this, but he's fucking Captain America. And he's just going nuts. And the whole time, blood is on that shield. And eventually they overpower him and take the shield back. John Walker goes to court. and they're like, hey, you're no longer Captain America, and you don't get retirement money, and you're not an employee anymore. They fired him very, very publicly, but no jail time. They're like, you're lucky that you're a superstar, but we're not going to put you in prison or anything. And he's still pissed off. He's still furious. Like, but I'm Captain America. They're like, dude, you are super lucky. Chill the hell out. Meanwhile, Falcon, Sam, right? It's Sam. Mm-hmm. Why am I forgetting this? Sam's going through a midlife crisis again. And he's starting to think that he should take the shield. He ultimately he holds on to the shield while thinking about it. And I want to say when he visits Isaiah, the old black super soldier that we met episodes back, tells him, you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. That's not what it's for. That's not what it represents. And America's just shit on us. And I'm a prime example of that. So you shouldn't do it. And he's like, get that thing out of my house. He hates that shield. But Sam eventually learns he's going to take the shield and bring it up in his own way. Bucky. Did Bucky talk to anyone from... Oh, Bucky meets up with Zemo, acts like he's going to kill him, doesn't, and Wakandans take him away.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if in that scene they gave him a mysterious box and insert what's in the box quote over and over again. But Bucky helps. They fix a boat with Sam. Which honestly, I kind of liked that episode because it was chill, but
yeah, oddly enough, of all the episodes, I think that this one held up the best because for the most part, I wasn't looking around and just going, what the hell is happening?
No, like, it was very easy to know what was going on for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't seem as like, I don't know, manic as the previous episodes. There weren't as many just like weird cuts to characters doing things that like should be obvious to other characters that are in the room, but they're just not acknowledging it. There was less like trying to skirt around plot holes. Like it was probably the most straightforward episode. The opening third of it is fighting. And then we have, kind of some of the resolution with John Walker. And then we have a lot of interpersonal kind of identity drama with Sam and the Wilson family last third. So in that regard, like it holds together better than most of the episodes.
Yeah. Plus, we get resolutions with characters. I figured out what the show was about finally. I finally appreciated why Isaiah was in it because I think Sam talking to Isaiah and him talking to his sister were like and with Bucky are three big reasons of why he decided what he decided. And I don't know, because it was straightforward and because there wasn't much else going on besides John Walker Court. Yeah, it was straightforward, and I guess I understood. I understood everyone's characters' motivations and their decisions, and decisions were made, and it wasn't just like arm crossing or sneering or anything like that.
And it finally, there was a genuine interaction between Sam and Bucky that wasn't like buddy cop sort of interactions. I will say they opened up one can of worms, which was, as far as I understand, never like further explained, which is after John gets out of court, he's approached by a woman who's incredibly like glib and somehow gives him like a job or like, oh, you're going to receive a call. And then we don't see her for the rest of the episode. And I'm like, who the hell was that? And she shows up in the end, like the very end of the following episode, but they still don't explain like who she is or what's going on there. And I'm sure there are plenty of people that understand and they're satisfied, but it's just kind of pandering. The other thing that like I thought just reached a new level of like corniness for me in this show was Sam's training montage with the shield, and that like all it takes to become Captain America is to be able to do more flips and to be able to make the shield do more totally impossible bouncing around goofiness.
Yeah, parkour. And ultimate frisbee, ultimate frisbee.
Both of them at once. You have to do unnecessary flips while you're throwing the shield. That's what it means to be Captain America.
Yeah, it was a pretty silly montage. Although I think I can't find my notes of the episodes, but I think I enjoyed the song that was in it. I know I enjoyed the last song of like the series, but in either case, there was I believe it was the song during the montage that I liked. But I'm very used to montages as of right now because I went through the Rocky series. So like whenever I see a montage scene, I'm judging it heavily. But it was pretty funny that usually in a montage scene, especially if they're training, they need to show little clips of them trying to overcome one specific task.
Yes.
And if they can overcome that one specific task, they're done.
Right.
And his was some sort of flipping, throwing thing, and it just continuously not worked. And when he did it, like I think they probably I don't remember the scene anymore, but they probably high-fived.
Well, but he's doing it all on his own, so I don't know who he'd be high-fiving. Is he just like high-fiving the shield?
Mirror.
He's
Oh, the shield. The shield grows an arm, a metal arm.
I think that it's just like, I don't remember. Okay, so I remember the shield bouncing kind of being a thing occasionally in previous movies, but never to the level that it was in this show, which it gets to some really silly levels of the shield bouncing around and hitting people with absolutely like no it's completely non-subject to physics.
I think it's always been pretty bouncy. I did notice, like, as the series, as MCU progressed, that the shield was doing shit that I never seen before, and I didn't understand the physics of it whatsoever. So every weird bounce thing that it did, I always just accepted. But I will say that montage was silly because, again, it was one of those things where it's like if he did this one thing, which means his training is over and he is now Captain America. But throughout that episode, Bucky and Sam have pretty good conversations about what each of them should do next. Sam they both kind of like just take down the wall of like bullshit or snarky remarks and go, look, man, you need to deal with this, or hey, I'm sorry about this. It only took 5 episodes, I'm sorry, 90% of the series for them to be like, hey man, I guess we have been through a lot. Like, yeah, but
yeah,
they go through it, and I don't know what Bucky said to him, but he gave him the suitcase, and he tells Bucky like, hey, don't half-ass it, full-ass it. And even though it's not that different from what he was doing before, because he was trying to go through his little list, but I don't know. In any case, he decides to go tell that old dude that he killed his son, which really not much came from that.
Nothing really comes with that. But I think that we're getting a little bit ahead because that's denouement territory.
Yeah, that's at the end of 6.
There's everything that happens with Carly at the end of episode 5 and then getting into 6, which is still,
I don't even remember her.
Right, exactly.
She's
like,
so boring.
It's my God. So I guess the simplest overview that I'm going to give is that like Carly decides that it doesn't matter if she and her crew die because she says that the movement has enough strength to carry on. And I'm like, I have seen nobody else care about this movement. Like maybe there was episode 1 when they're like, oh, there's an app that we can like ping other flag smashers, and there were a bunch of people in masks, but otherwise, like, this is the Bucky and Falcon and Zemo and Sharon and Sam's sister show. Mm-hmm. Like there wasn't enough room in this for like international politics. And yet there's an insistence upon like, that's what this show is about. So anyway, Carly decides that they are going to attack a meeting of the global relocation committee, whatnot, people who are just like in a boardroom, who again have been talked about and rarely seen throughout the show.
There was a fake commercial too for it.
Yeah. And somehow other flag smashers are just able to get into this conference. There was apparently like very minimal security, I guess.
Of course.
And they're gonna stop this. So they security in the building starts evacuating all these, let's call them like senators. We really don't know what their title is. They're just people voting on what's going to happen with different people who reappeared in the blip, and they get in cars, and there are all kinds of like high chase escapades, and Bucky and Falcon, Sam, fight a bunch of guys, and they manage to save the people, all the while like John comes back in his Captain America outfit, like ready for revenge against Carly, decides that like saving a truck full of people is more important than getting revenge on Carly. And therefore, now we gotta like is absolved of all of his shit. And like in the end, Sam like decides to go one-on-one with Carly, and she's like pounding his shield, and it's like, why won't you fight me? Rawr! And then there's some kind of interaction prior to that with Sharon, who of course is the power broker, and Carly, and I guess that Carly was originally hired by Sharon or something like that. And in the end, like, Sharon winds up shooting Carly and passing it off like, oh, she had to for Sam's safety. Sam like nobly, like almost like reverently carries Carly's body out to these bigwig talking heads, and then lectures them so heavily that on how basically Carly's blood is on their hands because of like how they've been handling this global repatriation. And that is cramming like 40 minutes of episode into whatever that was, 3 minutes. I don't know. So do with that what you will. Correct me wherever you need to. But it was like, I was just tired. I was just tired by the end of it.
So let's break down a few things. I will say we've talked about this before, that apparently the Flag Smashers they have a following, because they do mention it every once in a while, but they hardly show. That
I have to mention along that note. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
This may be the worst resolution to how they like round up the last remaining living members of Carly's crew, is that they ping them on their phones. Like the last 3 remaining people are like running down an alley, and then police show up, and so does Bucky. And he's like, isn't technology amazing? And it just shows like the little app that was shown at the beginning. I'm like, why in the hell would you not have used this like 6 episodes ago.
Yeah.
To like constantly try to track them.
And I will admit, I don't know if this is true, but I'm assuming, I'm assuming, but probably not, that they showed like a scene of him like slipping a tracking device or something. But I didn't like that resolution at all, because like 6 guys with guns show up. They're like, okay, we give up. Although I buy them giving up, because when Carly said, well, we're gonna kill these hostages, they're like, whoa, we're gonna straight up murder these hostages? Like, yeah. And if we die too, so be it. They show them look at each other like, I don't know.
I wasn't in for that. That's not how I plan to end my day.
Exactly. I loved that scene so much. The remaining flag smashers are standing there with Carly, and she brings up killing the hostages, and one girl goes, that seems a little extreme, which like they do seem at that point like, whoa, that seems a little extreme, but they didn't really like, hey, whoa, Carly. It was, we're going to kill the hostages. And then it was, yeah. And if we die, we die. One world. One world, one people, or whatever they chanted. That scene made me laugh so hard, but they still followed her, so that's on them. But yeah, they showed like, sometimes they would show like clips of fake news stories in the beginning of the series of people like protesting, being like, yay, flag smashers, every once in a while. But, you know, that's a whole nother thing. So apparently they have a following, even though they kill hostages, and they did that like a couple episodes ago. Sam swoops in, and we finally see what was in the box. He's still got his wings, but now he's in a Captain America outfit. And you gotta admit, Dan, that is a dope looking outfit.
No, I think it's so goofy because like he's totally covered except for the top of his head, which is probably the most vulnerable part of the body.
All right, that's fair.
What's that about?
He needs a helmet. Well, hey, I mean, I'm going through heroes but all the heroes that don't have anything at the top of their head are very, very vulnerable. All he needs are his wings.
It's not even that like other heroes aren't wearing helmets or something. It's that there's specifically a part in his like cowl of his costume that's just cut out around the top of his head. I'm like, why?
Style.
Do that? What style though? Like,
I've
trying
never
not to
worn
mess
a
up
cowl,
his hair or
so
something?
I don't. Yes, I liked it. I thought it looked cool. Besides the top head, how about below the head?
I don't know. I'm so like, I don't really care about costuming, especially since I think there's just the ongoing like desire in Marvel to keep something that's canon, but try not to make it as dorky as Marvel canon. And so that usually winds up being, again, like muted colors or taking something matte and making it glossy or things like that. So I'm not wowed in any way. They're most of the costumes don't have like especially like strong stylistic design, not like Iron Man's or something like that, where there's a very like iconic visual to it. But even then it just gets to a point where I'm like, I really don't care about any of these outfits.
I think Sam's is dope. I like that it's bright, even though there's a way that brightness is not good, especially if you're doing a stealth mission of sorts. But I don't know, it sticks out and I dig it. I do know what you're saying about the cowl. I'm trying to imagine it now, and it is something I've never seen before. But it's them trying something different. I didn't think that he would still have his wings because he left it with his partner, his broken wings with his partner one time.
Take these broken wings.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
Apparently the Wakandans made it, which, no, I don't know why they did that. I don't think they explained it at all, but I'm going to assume because I've had this conversation 3 different times, and 3 people asked me, and I told them, I started the conversation with, I don't like the show that much. I don't emphasize it that way. I say I don't like the show that much, but I do enjoy it. But yeah. Anyways, there is a scene where his wings are. There's a couple scenes where he encases himself in his wings and nothing happens to him. So I'm assuming it's made out of vibranium,
which is supposed to be like hella rare, but apparently they have enough of it to make.
Wakanda's that's what they have the most vibranium ever, and that was the whole reason that they didn't want. That was the whole thing about Black Panther, was they didn't want anyone to know about their location because they didn't want them to steal their vibranium, which I think what Black Panther 2 is going to be about a lot. But in any case, yeah, their city is like made of vibranium.
Gotcha. I watched that movie and I don't remember that. Yeah. That plot point.
So, Captain Falcon shows up and someone asks him, "Who are you?" But then I did like this. He goes, "I'm Captain America," but kept walking. I'm like, all right, cool. We got it over with. Like the past 2 episodes
being an observation for one, people being like, "Go Black Falcon," and then the guy next to him goes, "No, that's Captain America."
I didn't like that scene because in like any spoof or anything real, someone will spoof that scene. And what was wrong with it was like, and I'm not trying to be PC about it or anything, but I will say this was my reaction. A black, proud old man said, "That's Black Falcon right there." And some white guy tells him, "No, that's Captain America."
Was it a white guy? Oh no.
He was probably, honestly, he might have been Mexican. I don't know. He better not have been white, because if it was a white guy, that looked bad.
Let's dial that one back.
Yeah, and I wanted Black Falcon, or the Black Falcon I wanted the man to say, "No, that's Black Falcon," and then they get into a fight.
It's like the other guy just looks back to him and goes, "Excuse me?"
It was a weird part, but
Yeah.
I guess it's, I don't know. If you're gonna have 2 people of different colors say something, I feel like that they should reverse it, because what we as the audience is trying to accept is that he is Captain America. Mm-hmm. And if there's one thing that the show is trying to forego, especially with Isaiah's storyline, is that Isaiah wants a black figure. He doesn't believe that there could be a black figure that is acceptable to America. And that's one thing he struggles with. That's what he tried to teach Falcon, or Sam. And Sam becoming Captain America, I would assume that would be a figure for other black people to say, "That's Captain America." Mm-hmm. But when you have a black person say, "That's Black Falcon," that makes me think, oh, I'm not supposed to call him Captain America. But it's just, it doesn't fit. I didn't think that they did that right. But
yeah,
I digress.
Okay, so I want to get more to that stuff. I want to do like just show recap here. So do you have anything else like plot related?
Yeah, I want to go through that real quick. John Walker, they ended episode 5, or I'm sorry, they after credits episode 5, with John Walker building, you can tell, a really shitty shield. Right. Like I didn't see the last. You don't have to see the last episode to know that shield's not going to do much, and he's pissed. You can tell, like, oh no, he's going to do some crazy shit. And what follows was bigger of a disappointment than at the end of Infinity War, when they showed the Captain America or Captain Marvel symbol, because in Endgame she didn't do much, and in this he shows up. He helps a little bit, and his shield gets fucked up. He throws it away, but him like reaching, because John Walker has been my favorite part of this whole series. Yeah. Although I do like Sam's struggle with the shield as well, but John Walker's character development was the most adapting and like understanding in a way. But him reaching his resolution was a 17-second scene of him looking at a van, looking at Carly, and going,
yeah,
and then saving the van and not talking about it.
right. Exactly. It's kind of like everything that's set up before him prior to that moment seems to be a tragedy. And it's fine if you want to like suddenly spin that as a redemption story instead, but it happens in such a like trite and cliched way, and then it's just not addressed again because we have so much else to plow through in our resolution.
I think I was talking to my friend Blaze, who every time I hate something, he loves it, and vice versa. And he's a huge Marvel fan, huge Captain America fan. And he said, of course, he loved it. What did he say? Shit, I forgot what the hell I was going to say. God damn it. That went away so quickly. No resolution. He claims that he read up on the series production and that this was supposed to come out before WandaVision, and that they had to adjust a lot of scenes and plot points to fit the schedule and to make time and for it to make sense. And he said this after I said, the one thing I hate about this series is that it's very disjointed. Am I using that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very disjointed, and like that really started with episode 2, where there was things that didn't make sense. And it looks like we're missing scenes and that they're just trying to make it fit, but it's just hitting each other. And that was one where after that scene, I'm like, okay, well, I'm assuming he's going to talk to Sam and Buck, and like they're gonna be like, yo, I thought you were crazy. Are you good now? But there wasn't anything like that. It was just like it was just some buddy cop shit that Bucky said to Walker after they caught the rest of the Flag Smashers, and I forgot what it was.
I don't remember either. I just remember, a lot of moments that should carry like dramatic heft being truncated and just cut off at the knees. Like, I mean, even before this situation, there was the entire interaction of Bucky and Zemo that felt like they were just running through it because there was not going to be any time in the final episode for the scene. But that's a greater issue for the show overall. I think that there will be a lot of talk about how the greatest flaw in the show is that it bit off more than it could chew. It couldn't possibly pull through in all this, which I agree with, but I also think that its center of focus is also misguided. It's not just that they built too wide and the bridge can't bear much of a load. It's that the foundation that it's built upon is shaky and unclear in itself. And I get that in a lot of the themes, and I get that especially in the crowning moment where Sam is just reaming out these old white people who are telling him, you just don't understand how complicated the situation is. And all of the newscasts are on him and the cameras are on him. And ultimately what his speech says is do better. Like there's a moment in there where they almost like hit on something that is saying something specific, where it's who are the people in the room when you make the choices that you make? Are they the people that you serve, or are they more people like you? I'm like, okay, that's saying something like specific. And other than that, he's looking at different people and going like, can't you understand? Like, you should be able to understand now. You need to do better. And I'm like, yeah, but how? Like, why? What are you ultimately saying? What was the ultimate like failure that you're trying to address in these people that have had almost no screen time. And their main opposition to him is that they're old, white, and they say, you don't understand.
Yeah, that's all they said over and over again. You don't understand. You don't understand. I believe that the whole point of it, or not the whole point, because it's much bigger than that. But I believe what the intention of Sam's character, what he was trying to tell them is, you need to do better, as in this cannot be the only solution. You need to find a different solution. And trying to justify that suggestion, or that eager suggestion with shit, I'm sorry, I'm losing myself. Just by saying he tried to do that by telling them, well, you don't understand this, you don't understand that. Carly had a following, and the reason she had a following was because people. God damn it.
Carly had a following because things are messed up, and the powers that be aren't listening to the people who are actually being affected with the decisions that they're making.
Yes.
Which, sure, I get that. It's still just, it's glossed over in such a way that it seems political, but not enough to actually upset anybody. And that's kind of the conversation of a lot of this. It's again, I saw like one brief tweet that kind of gave me like an oh yeah sort of moment, and that was Falcon the Winter Soldier seems to be more focused on how people fight rather than why they're fighting. And that's true of the lot of the story and the pursuit of Sam and Carly, because she keeps on doing terrible, heinous things, and people are like, she has to be stopped, she has to be killed, and he's just like, she's just a kid, like she's wayward, but you know, she deserves another chance. And I'm like, why? Is it because you believe in her ultimate cause, or is it because she's young and naive? Because that seems to be more the focus, rather than like she might actually be onto something.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's a lot of that show just has these moments of like the struggle between characters being like, well, there's something to her cause, but the way that she's carrying things out, it's just too much. And even though, like, again, everything that she's done throughout the series has been more or less without remorse. Like, again, we were talking about the moment when she like bombs one of the agency buildings, and if there was any kind of like a setup where it seemed that she was starting down a path that she couldn't control, like she was setting up this bomb and she thought that the building was empty, but it actually still had people in it, there'd be an understanding there of like, she's starting to play with fire in a certain way. Or maybe that's not what they're trying to say. Maybe it is the, you know, as she said, like, this is the only language that these people understand, in which case, like, maybe there's more focus on the back and forth and the retribution that acts like that cause, or what's driven her to be this violent. All these things are like hinted at, but they're never the subject of the show, because in the end, there's so much like globetrotting and dull, ultra choreographed fight sequences. And like, I could never find like that little kernel of an idea that drives the rest of the narrative. Like,
no,
even
it's a bunch of kernels.
Yeah, even when WandaVision like slipped to its lower points, it still maintained that. And this, I'm just kind of like, not only do I not understand like what's going on in so many scenes, I just don't know why these things are happening.
Right. And I think with when it came with Carly, it was with her, it's her excuse was her being young and naive. Everything, what I gathered was Sam agreed with her with everything she was doing, but going about it the wrong way. And her excuse, which he told everyone, well, she's just a kid. I don't know how old she is, but there gets a point where you can't use that as an excuse anymore. Yeah. However, I believe, it's more of a commentary on like how you can fight the system in certain ways, but you should resolve to peacefully, but you shouldn't blame them to resorting to violence for it as well, even though it is wrong to be violent, that they believe that violence is the only reason that they can understand what they're doing. I'm not saying like it's very clear like this is what the show's going through, but like this is what Sam's trying to tell Carly and tell the government. However, when it comes to like their final like stand, him and Carly, she's screaming fight back and he's like, no, I won't fight you. Like, I get character wise, like you're trying to be like, no, that's my whole point. Fighting violence is not the way. We can discuss this. However, that wasn't, she was going to kill you. Like, no matter what, she was 100% going to kill you. And Sharon was there to stop it. And I got more to say about Sharon.
I do too. But
then when she's dying, she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I don't know. I hated that. I hated it so much. I didn't care.
That's it exactly. It's that like, if this is really the topic that you are going to tackle, like the current climate, which is vilifying protests, especially the protests that erupted last year, and the people who dismissed the parties involved, and basically on the grounds of, well, they just shouldn't be smashing property, they shouldn't be using violence, and totally ignoring their cause. Like, that's topical. That's somewhere that you can go, but it's also so much murkier than just like giving us another Captain America character that can be like, yo, I have the superhuman capacity to be the intermediary between like government and the people. And like, maybe we want that icon, but something like that is so much heavier and murkier than the conversation that they're reducing it to in the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't even know how Bucky got resolved either.
Yeah, the other thing is that like it's the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and in the end, like I feel like Bucky got no screen time, and his final like moment of resolution, going to tell his friend that he had killed his son, there's no reaction to that. No, like that scene isn't given any room, and he's to like, breathe.
Oh, I did it because I that bye, and like he just sees him drinking with that date that he had earlier, and kind of like nods and walks away. It's like, do you think he's happy now? And plus, he's not drinking with you, so like, what happened with you? Everything was fine because he wrote a thank you note to his therapist. So I guess he's cured now.
Right.
But I don't know. I think I was scared that Falcon wasn't going to get enough screen time, but he definitely was more important in this series. Now, if I look at it this way, that this and WandaVision are really just, because I've talked about this, that this is the first time that MCU has tried to make TV shows as linear as cohorts to the MCU film series. Like, they are actually pretty important. Mm-hmm. However, you could start a movie off with like, oh yeah, Sam's a new Captain America, Bucky's no longer depressed, There was this group called the Flag Smashers, but don't worry about them. Black Widow is really scary now. Some shit happened. I don't know. But Vision's dead, so we're not going to see him again. I think like these are like little bridges to get the audience to watch something, talk about it a lot, and for them to build up to future movies. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, I'm very happy she showed up. I'm extremely happy she showed up. I love her. I'm a Veep man, and I love Seinfeld and all that. But that was kind of sloppy because it was an obvious, like, guess who we got in the MCU? We got Elaine. All right, we'll show her one more time, but we're not going to explain anything about her. And apparently she's a huge deal in the comics, but I don't care. I don't read them. But like, you guys got to give us a little something more. I don't necessarily need to know exactly who she is, but give me more than I'm here to fix things. Oh, and you're a U.S. agent now. And that resolution was terrible too, by the way. Right. Yay, I learned nothing. I'm John Walker, and now I'm a different superhero. Like,
right. Now, what was his name? It was something like
U.S. agent.
U.S. agent. You might as well call him CIA man.
Yeah, CIA man. Yeah, it was really, really stupid. It was. I also liked. When it came to Carly, the hostages thing, she never there was never a clear indication of what she was doing. But like when Walker showed up and he's like, you killed Lamar. And she goes, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for him to die. Or no, he didn't even say anything. She immediately said, I'm sorry. He was an unimportant person that died and I didn't want that to happen. Like, you killed other hostages. She goes, yeah, but these hostages are different. Like, she literally says some variation of that. Yeah. But yeah, there needed to be more of an internal struggle with Walker. Power broker, who fucking cares? When it was Sharon.
Exactly. The whole thing with Sharon, and that's just a problem with this show's ethos in general, is that for all of its talk of, violence and its use in justice and bringing about change, it seems like very confused and indifferent with its portrayal of violence in the show. Because for all of the fights with like the Flag Smashers and everybody, one guy is getting away from Bucky or something, and then like Sharon bumps into him and places something on him. And then when he gets in a van, you see like this puff of fumes and whatever, and then his face is literally melting. And I'm like, yeah. You have like you've looked the other way so many times when Sharon has killed so many people. Yeah.
And it's one thing, because I know as the audience you're supposed to feel uncomfortable, because I was like, whoa, that was murder. I know that guy's this, but that was a very violent murder. And they're just like, she goes, yeah, I had a little surprise for him. They'll eventually know, no, they murdered she murdered Carly, but killed Carly, but like always gave her a pat on the back for it.
But that's the other thing too, is that even they don't question Sharon at the end for like, why did you kill her? Mm-hmm. There isn't any further investigation to that. There's that whole like post-credit sequence where she's absolved and in front of this panel of government peoples or whatever. And then she like goes out and gets on the phone. She's like, I think that we're going to have a very lucrative future in government secrets. Mm-hmm. So it's like, we, the audience, know that something is up, and like, why aren't Bucky or Sam or like anybody else questioning her motives and use of force? Right. Like for all their obsession over how Carly gets things done and who Carly kills, they do not even blink at the masses of people that Sharon has killed throughout the show.
No, not at all. I do dig. I'm okay with her. I just don't like the way. Basically, I like the outcome of how everything has gone. Besides John Walker being U.S. agent, like that storyline had the worst ending for me. Especially, I think it had the worst because it was the only one that I think was developing correctly. But when it came to everything else, I liked that Sam decided to become Captain America. I kind of hated the speech scene in front of the cameras because it was really long, and it was Hollywood's version of this is what's right, this is what's fair, this is what the people want.
Yeah,
it was just too much,
right? And like in a television show, if those are the things that you're trying to get at, like you weave that into your dialogue throughout the show, so that it's not all delivered in this one moment where I go, why didn't he say something to this effect like at the beginning of the show? Mm-hmm. Or is this like just his epiphany? He's finally, and it's just another kind of like somewhat upsetting thing of like, is there this feeling that he would not have had the audience if he did not decide to become Captain America? Like he had to become this icon in order to be heard. And what does that say about the other people that he's supposedly speaking for? That, you know, people care about what he has to say now that he's not just another black man, but he's Captain America. I don't exactly know. It just, for some reason, that scene doesn't sit right with me in a lot of different ways.
I think that one thing that I really like is that he kept reiterating like that he is Captain America and that he's going to do things that are going to upset people, and he's going to have people that hate him. He's going to have people that hate him in this moment. They're going to boo him, but that he's still going to fight no matter what. And like, they'll figure it out. And that's basically it. It was like the whole thing. You need to figure it out. You need to do better. And his thing is, I know I'm going to make mistakes. I know people are going to hate me for certain things, but I'm still going to fight for certain things as well. And I don't know how I'm going to do it. So I think in the way of yes, I do believe, I know for a fact that if he was Falcon saying these things, it wouldn't come across as much. But I think if it was Falcon saying these things, that the black community would be like, yes, but but the white community wouldn't care. But since he's Captain America, all these old white guys are like, oh, wow, you got a point. Mostly because you're Captain America. Right.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, what does that say ultimately? And does that like really support what the show was trying to say? And especially in that scene, is that like he had to kind of accept this mantle of responsibility. I think that's what they're trying to get at. Of like,
I think that's absolutely. I think that
the world needs this, but
the world needs this. It's given to you. I don't necessarily think that if something's given to you that you have to accept it. But I think that if you know that you have what it takes. And, you know, the saying is, with great power comes great responsibility. He felt so responsible for doing these things because he knows what the change is, that he decides to take it.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. And I get like the passing of the mantle and realizing that Steve Rogers like personified a different era of American struggle and fight for justice. And that Sam is kind of taking on that mantle and like reframing what the fight for American justice is. But in that case, like, I don't know if I just don't know how this like lines up with his struggles of identity earlier on. And if it could have been something where it was like, look, I get it. I want to be there, but I am me. Like I'm the Falcon. Like Captain America represented something of a different age, and we're moving on. We're different people. We're different heroes. So I'm sure that there's plenty of think pieces that I could find on the internet about that. I don't need to belabor this point too much further.
No, I see what you're saying though, but I believe he would have never done this if it wasn't for John Walker. And like one of the most important scenes of the series is him cleaning blood off of the shield. And I think that was like the first time he's like, I need to stop this. And the only way I can stop this is that I take this shield because it's obviously getting blood all over it. And this is a very nice shield and I don't want to have blood all over it. So I'm going to act like I'm doing this for justice and everything, but I really just don't want to get blood on the shield because it's a very nice shield. I think that that was overall his main intention was like, I know I can do good things with this. I don't want to because I shouldn't have to do this. But if someone else has it, things can go much worse. So I have to, in a way. That's what I think.
Yeah, I guess I get that too. And like, it's the problems also of like, presently being like, we need total police overhaul in the moment in time that we're in. And yet at the same time, like, until that happens, we also want, people different from me, like being police and being there and like having that input. So maybe that's it. Like that's part of it. It's also, I don't know. I'm so lost on the tangent now.
It's a hard tangent. You know why? Because a lot of shit's in this show.
A lot of shit's in the show, and it's kind of clumsy. It's like I get the importance of a conversation starter, but for a show that goes about trying to say something, it ultimately winds up being kind of just like toothless and a little bit like wishy-washy in the end, rather than kind of being like, yo, this is what's messed up and like here's how it's going to change going forward now that like I am taking on the role of Captain America. And yeah. I don't know,
wishy-washy is definitely a good word for it.
just kind of non-committal to saying anything specifically. It's a little bit ambiguous about what is trying to be said, even though it's delivered with a lot of gusto.
Mm-hmm. I do like the parallels. I didn't really realize it, but even though Sam as Cap didn't really do anything like super illegal at all, but at least to the government's eyes, but I remember with Civil War, Cap was like, no, I don't want to sign these. The whole thing with the Soviet Accords, like the fact that he went against government for something that he believed in, that he's like, no, this isn't right for America. I like that there is a parallel with that decision. Even though Sam doesn't really go against the government at all, except for pointing a finger saying shame, shame, shame. But I think that there's definitely a lot more that they can do, especially with him, because Cap was never, or Steve was never like making a speech or anything. It was all like written down, and it was usually corny shit that he would say at USO shows. But like right. This Cap actually has his own voice that he's trying to communicate with not only the government but publicly, so that way this government is sort of on trial in person. Again, it was extremely heavy-handed, so like I couldn't help but roll my eyes, but I don't know. They introduced some interesting things that can change with this universe's Earth and its politics and whatnot. But again, yeah, it was the way they executed it that it was tiring, confusing, and just long, even though it was only 6 episodes. I am glad that Sharon is like a villain now. Like she's basically the head of Evil Shield is what I'm...
Yeah, maybe. We really don't know.
I think she will be. But then again, maybe it'll be wishy-washy.
Maybe it'll continue to be wishy-washy. Yeah.
I don't know. I like Sharon. But overall, I'm happy. I'm trying to be a smart ass and not saying that I'm happy it's over. resolutions were met. I don't know. I can't say anything that doesn't sound negative about my feelings of the show being over. I am happy it's over. It's one of the few shows that I can say I'm glad that we're done with it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll be interested to see. I don't know. That again also just feels like a completely wishy-washy response to all of this stuff. I'll be interested to see where it goes. And it's like, I know where it's going to go. It's going to go in more directions that just tie into other products in this complete, like, this spider web that's ever branching out in all directions without end.
Yeah. Plus, I don't know. Apparently, it was originally supposed to be a miniseries, and now there's talks that they are going to make a season 2 because
oh, weird.
They submitted it to the Emmys, but they didn't submit it to miniseries. They submitted it to drama. So everyone's like, that means that it's going to continue. And I did like that the episode ended with Captain America and Winter Soldier, which is basically the title of Captain America 2, but you know, whatever. Just there's an and in there. I did like that, but I'd be okay with them not doing a season 2.
I'd be fine with that.
Well, they're not. They're making a movie.
Oh, well,
so
okay.
Hopefully it'll be confined and that's it. And like making more sense and whatnot. I don't know how they're doing that. I don't know how they're doing the MCU in general, especially with the world ending and everything. It's really hard to grasp anything that MCU is doing, except WandaVision made a lot more sense.
Yeah, it's just that, like, if we're talking about the trajectory of this entire intellectual property, like, in the beginning of this whole thing made sense. We had origin stories, we had superheroes coming together and fighting something big and bad. In that kind of meta narrative of the like cultural touchstone that was the series kind of reached its natural conclusion. And so now there's like this desire to start that again, but I don't know how they do it with the same kind of pull. Like I see the pull now being basically just kind of fan service. Like, oh boy, I get to see these characters on screen. You've got a built-in audience that makes sense from a marketing and sales perspective. However, the artistry of Iron Man and Captain America and Thor was that they were like very different movies with very different tones. And all these characters eventually brought things from their different movies together into this like amalgam. And we watched those relationships occur over time. And it just seems like it would be pretty disingenuous to just do that over again.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that they will. I think whatever they're doing right now, they've already proved that they're doing something different with these television shows. But they're getting more into, at least we think they're getting more into multiverse and with Doctor Strange's world, basically. But in any case, we are in the beginning, so we don't quite know. I do have confidence that they have a solid plan, or they agreed together that they have a plan, and I believe that plan will be solid, and I think it will be satisfying personally. But I will say it is like really hard to see what it is, because after 2 movies, you know what happened, what was going on with Avengers, and it was they're all gonna get together, they're gonna do this is the big bad, and blah blah blah. The only thing that I think is Scarlet Witch is going to be the quote people are going to think is I think that whatever the enemies are, they're going to want to use Scarlet Witch to destroy the world or whatever. And the humans are going to want Wanda to help them to defeat the evil, So I think that the good guys and the bad guys are all going to chase after Scarlet Witch, aka Wanda, and it's up to her to overcome her powers and do good or succumb to powers and be bad. Hopefully. That's the only thing that seems to make sense to me so far. Besides that, I don't know how they're going to do it.
Yeah, I guess I just
I almost drank my microphone. I went like this. I was just about to do it. Sorry, go on.
Just mic drop. Yeah, I don't know where they go without like just doing more or just doing more of the same. And just having like more reasons for these different characters to interact. And in that sense, it almost feels like a stretch of television shows that are playing out across many years on the big screen.
Well, I don't want it to end, but but I will say I did want this to end, and it did.
Yeah, it is strange because it's like it is sort of a new mythology. It's we had that in kind of a niche market, and now that's like in the global limelight of like we have a pantheon of characters that are just like the Greek gods and whatnot put in different scenarios, and like everything that happens to them is kind of outside of like time and space, but they're just these characters that are perpetually available to keep telling stories.
Yeah. I think 2 years from now we'll be like, oh yeah, this shit's going somewhere. I know it. It's starting to make more sense. But we got to wait a couple months for Loki. Loki doesn't come out until June. You excited for Loki?
I at least like Loki as a character, so I'm
there's that.
Excited to see him again.
I'm excited. Maybe. Owen Wilson's going to be in it, so there's something to be excited for.
That's so weird. Okay.
I think the reason that they do it is because Tom Hiddleston does a very good Owen Wilson impersonation. Really? I literally think that's why they casted him to do it. I realized that the other day, but I don't care. I love Owen Wilson, so I'm excited for it. I don't even know what it's... Well, I figured I know what it's about, but I'm not going to get into that. I'll get into that some other time.
Okay.
But yeah, we're going to have to... Either we're going to have to take a long break or we're going to have to talk about a few movies in between.
Yep. We're probably the latter.
Don't sound too excited, Dan.
I'm just like trying to figure out what's out there. We started... Okay, hang on. We should end the episode so that we can continue rambling on about other things. So
thank you for listening to us shit on your favorite show, I'm sure. I'm Tony.
And I'm Dan.
Till the next project.